All right. Welcome to the world of the unseen, you guys. I'm your host, Michelle McLean. And today I'm really excited about the guest that we have on. This man has actually changed my life. Um, Years and years of work that I have done, this man changed things for me within probably a half hour of listening to some of his teachings, some of his tools, some of his techniques. So if you're willing to listen and absorb the information that this incredible man has, this could really change your life for the rest of your life. I don't want to say you don't have to ever do therapy. I don't want to say you don't ever have to worry about a lot of other things in life. But for me, this has been a tool that has changed my life when it comes to grief, anxiety, sadness, anger. I mean, all of your emotions, pretty much, all of them, right? This has helped me with all of them. So I'm going to allow this guy to teach you some of these tools and techniques. You'll also have ways you can get a hold of him and be able to be in further communication with him. Before I bring him on, I'm going to go over his credentials really quick, which are pretty mind-blowing, but you'll know without even these credentials, if you choose to do some of this work that he's going to bring you to the table, you'll feel it. You'll know that this shit is real. You're going to know that this is life-changing if you choose to do it, right? Not everyone chooses to do that kind of work. But I'm telling you, this could be a tool that you use within 5 minutes can change your life while you're driving. I mean, he probably wouldn't tell you to do that, but I do it while I'm driving.
I
It's
do.
nice. Like if I feel anxiety, if I feel any of that, I will literally do some of these tools and techniques while I'm driving. So this man is certified in nutrition and food-based healing, human performance specialist with multiple certifications, including NASM, NCSF, and ISSA. A lot of letters that I don't even fully understand what they mean, but they sound
Those
important.
are the boring ones.
um, a neurolinguistic programming NLP, sacred body language practitioner. He is the founder of CorpFIT and Think Great, Lose Weight. So, like I said, this man has incredible tools that if you just stick around for, you know, the next like half hour, maybe that we're together, hour, something like that, then you're going to pick up tools that can change your life for the rest of your life. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on Mr. Brian Johnson. If you would go ahead and feel free to take it away.
Yeah, so welcome aboard wherever you're at in the world. So, I mean, I think probably the best place to start is like, how did we get into this spot? And I'll kind of give you some background. So, I'm currently 47. I started doing the health thing when I was 7, and I kind of got pushed into it because I got bullied a lot, picked on, punched in the face a few times, and I decided that was enough of that. So, thankfully, my dad had a whole gym set up in our garage. So at 7, I started working out with my dad because I'm like, yo, I need to figure out how to take care of myself because this is unacceptable. So that's kind of what happened. So I started working out with my brother, who I had a half brother who was largely in part a lot of my extracurricular torture. So I had an older half brother. He's no longer on the planet anymore, but thankfully for him, he helped me kind of get me set straight for early. So I find that people who have large callings, you're generally going to have some challenges in your life. And I had some of those, right? But honestly, like I didn't really start getting into a lot of crazy shit until I was probably in my 20s when I got out of the house and had some experiences happen. Well, I had a experience happen, and we'll talk about this because I think it's important. My biggest first issue was getting into a relationship with this person I thought I was going to be with the rest of my life, yada, 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 in my early 20s. She cheated on me, and my whole world went to shit like real quick. Like I couldn't eat, lost, I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, started doing drugs all at the same time. Bad combination. I don't recommend that. And really, for about 10 years, almost cost me my life. Now, I'll show you this picture too, because that's kind of, you can see that. Michelle's seen that, right? So that's when I was 30. I just came out of an 8-month vacation right there, if you know what that means. And I tell you that because that 8-month vacation got me there because I did not clean up my stuff with my former partner. And I had no idea that love equaled pain in my mind because that's what I made it. And love is love. It's impossible to equal pain. However, I associate or attach a meaning to it, which we'll figure out today. But I did that, but I didn't know. I was so asleep on it. I also did not know that I didn't love myself. And this is a really big one. I'm just going to put this out on the table right now so you can figure this out. Here's how you can tell because most people don't. Most people think they are. And I thought I did, but I was not only incorrect, I was 180 degrees off the facts and thought I was on point. Okay. That's a problem. I'll say. So and I'll tell you the story where we're going through this stuff today. But the main thing is this is just do this now. So for those of you who are listening, My invitation to you is participate because I solve problems for high level conscious people. That's what I've been blessed to niche myself into. But it doesn't matter where you're at, as long as you're committed, as long as you're conscious and you're willing to say yes to yourself, dive in because you're going to find out whether I'm full of shit in about a second. Because when I tell you to do a certain thing, your body's going to change. Your body's going to start moving. Some of you right now are itching and scratching and doing more stuff because your body knows I know how to help you. Every bit of that stuff is emotional information. It's not, well, I had an itch. Well, did you really? It's code, okay, and everything we'll get into because I mean I have about 30 some odd certifications, and this is not one of these. This is like, look, it took me all that information to find what worked. Okay. I've been an avid learner for a long time and I've been committed to the truth for a longer time. And that's painful because I remember being still fully committed to the truth. And when I was told Pops, which is my name for God, I'm like, look, man, what's the truth? I don't care what it costs me. I don't care who it costs me. I don't care what I need to figure out. Just get the information in front of me so I can figure it out because everything that we've been taught is crap. So when I turned 30, which was there, I realized that everything that I thought I knew was pretty much irrelevant, pointless, and non-effective. So back to the whole I love myself. Here's what you're gonna do. Just sit there, stand there, wherever you're at, just say to yourself, I love myself. My head said yes, and my breath went down to my stomach instantly. Some of you, your head's gonna go, bam, no. But some of you, your head's doing this all the time, but you're not catching it because you don't know. But I tell you what, you will catch is this. How often are you talking to someone and you're saying, and they're saying some really amazing things like, that sounds amazing. But the whole time their head is doing this. That's a no. Okay. It means whatever they're thinking sounds great, but the 93% of them that's running the show is like, not so much. This is why I love body language because you will know in seconds. And when I tell people body language, they're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You know what I'm thinking? I'm like, yeah, I do, but that's not my point. The point is this is like, do you know what you're thinking? Not for me. It's for you. It's for you to be aware when you're talking to yourself and having a conversation with yourself. You need to have feedback so you know what is up or what's not up. Because can we agree that knowing if I was out of alignment would be a good idea? Yeah, like fucking immediately, because here's the problem. If you don't know that, then you go through your life, boom, well, guess what happens? You end up like that, in jail or suicidal or having massive drug addictions. And I'll tell you all this, I don't tell many people this, and I'm very open with all my stuff. I'm also a very private person because I am a public person, so I don't hang out around with many people. Most of the time I'm by myself, even though I have family, like they're not interested in what I'm talking about. So for the most part, it's me and Pops, and that's about it, right? So when you're going through the tools, understanding, knowing that your body is talking to you around the clock. And we'll go through some examples today so you can know this. You know, I have tools and resources to help you out. And I always do a free 15-minute call to help you out because it doesn't take me but seconds. Because here's what you need to know. When we get on the phone or even while you're sitting there in your chair, your body is already giving data. And when you get on the phone with me, your body's going to give me the information instantly. And it's only because I know how to help you. And when you know this, and when I teach you the codes, you have this information for yourself. Now, no, body language is not so much about reading other people. You can, but what's the point if I don't know what's going on at home? Like, for example, there's a buddy of mine, one of my former coaches, almost a billionaire. He's great at picking people apart, but he's fucking asleep. He has no idea what's going on at home. I was like, great job for reading everybody else and being completely clueless about your own experience. Like, that's what's the point? There is no point, okay? Unless someone is insecure, they don't love themselves, and they're trying to get a jump start on cutting someone else down because they are uncomfortable in their own skin. This is how this would happen, right? So what do we do to resolve it? Well, first part we need to get clear on is why did I get there in the first place? Okay? First place, when you start knowing this, and this is important because what we're going to do right now is you can do this. I do it every 15 minutes. Literally, when you see me do this, every 15 minutes is me rewiring my state. Just bam, 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 just changing it, making a micro adjustment so my neurological system upgrades on the spot. And once you're aware of this, it's very easy to change. But not being aware of it, you're not changing anything. Okay, so the first step is this. So we did the whole I love myself. And some of you are going to get a no. If you do, just, hey, that's me. If you say I love myself and your breathing is stuck up in your chest, meaning it's not going like down here, then something's out of alignment. And that's what you need to know too, because throughout the day, when you're doing your genius thing, if your breathing is off, meaning it's not going down below your belly button, and not because you're making it do that, that's inauthentic, meaning you're going to trick yourself into thinking you're on point and being fully off point. It'll be rather for you just to be honest with yourself so you know your truth so you can set yourself free. No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to save us. I think we got duped on that one. A lot of people are waiting for some magical man to come out of the sky. I'm like, look, I don't think that's going to happen. Well, what I think is going to happen is you are resurrecting your own spirit experience from the inside out. So you're resurrecting your own well-being and your own consciousness so you can become the version of you that's your higher self. I am showing you how to activate that version of you because it's already online. You just have to be aware of how to listen to it, read it, and commune with it so that when you're not on point, you have information to be able to get on point. Okay. So, any questions over any of that you want me to dive into first, or we just continue rolling? Do you have anything specific you'd like to touch on right there?
I do want to mention just how he's really good with helping the spirit connect to the vessel because if you guys have watched any of the other shows or the podcast that's on Apple Podcasts, you understand that we are a spirit in a vessel, right? So he's really good with helping the spirit be connected with the vessel. Most people are vessel and spirit is just all kinds of disconnected and nowhere there's no cohesiveness, right? They're supposed to work together. We are supposed to govern our vessel, right? That's
Yeah.
why we are given the vessel. But most people are not in control of their vessel. They don't govern it at all. I'm not sure who's governing it. Most people don't.
Yeah.
So this is what his work will help you do. It's going to help reconnect your spirit and align it with your vessel. So you're commanding your vessel. You're in charge of your vessel. Nothing else is running it. Most people have other things running their vessel. And a lot
Yeah.
of people are scared to even know this because of the fact that they don't know how to control it. I had an ex-boyfriend that he refused to admit that the spiritual world existed because of the fact that he couldn't control it. He didn't know how to navigate this world that this Brian right here is showing you how to do. He didn't know how to navigate this world, so he just pretended like it didn't exist, which is what most
Mm-mm.
people do. They're so scared of it because they don't know how to control it because they're not taught how to control it. So listen to what Brian's going to offer you guys. You don't have to fear the spiritual realm when you have the tools that are
Right.
super easy, super simple. You can do them within seconds, minutes, and be in
Yeah.
alignment, your soul, your spirit fully with your vessel.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, controlling it, I honestly, just from my experience, I focus on surrendering because I have no interest in controlling it. I've already done my version of controlling it and ended up like that. Okay. So at that point, I'm like, yo, Pops, handle this. I have no idea what's going on, and I'm fully okay with that. And I trust you fully, and I'm committed to just trusting. And that point is that a lot of people don't trust themselves because they haven't done the work. And I'm gonna tell you this quote. It's not mine, it's by a guy by the name of Wes Watson. You see him online. He's a big bald dude, tatted up guy. I like the guy. I think he's got a lot of good wisdom. A lot of people don't because they get triggered, but I don't really care because I don't view people like that. But here's the thing: the work installs your worth. Work, WORK, worth, WORTH. Okay. Most people will never sit with themselves and figure this stuff out because it's scary for people. But what if I could tell you like your worst shit ever could be gone in like 2 to 3 seconds without even talking about it? No one needs to know the details. No one needs to know who did and who said what, like none of that stuff, because I work with people who are former Navy SEALs, special officers, special agents, like that kind of stuff. But I work with people who have had a lot of abuse, ladies, for example. It doesn't matter where you're at. The information is still the same, and it is the same system that we can use to transmute it without having to talk about it, without having to do traditional therapy model. And honestly, like I'm just gonna be Brian because I don't know how to be Frank. That shit's a waste of time. I have so many people who come to me who have been in therapy for 30 or 40 years, paying for it, 600 bucks a week, talking about the same shit like 3 decades later. I'm like, I would fire myself and quit if I was still doing that. And the problem is they don't ever feel better when they leave. I was like, well, then why would you continue paying for it if you didn't feel better doing it? Because they don't know there's another way from being programmed to being hardwired. I'm telling you, there's a lot of different ways. And if you're following the traditional system, my invitation to you, pick your head up out of there and just do a little looking around because none of that stuff that we've been educated with is going to work. That's the reason why it is that way, because it's not designed to solve your problem. It's designed to create it and therefore perpetually creating it. Because once we're in it and you don't know who you're being because you don't know you're out of alignment, you don't know you don't love yourself, and don't take this personal. Like just to say Herbert over here doesn't know he doesn't love himself, doesn't know he's out of alignment, doesn't know he has sorrow, doesn't know he has fear, therefore he doesn't know his point of attraction is sorrow and fear. And you're like, well, my life sucks and everything's happened to me. Like, look, I'm a very conscious individual. Life does suck. This place fucking sucks. But listen to me. You got to have ways to be able to clean it up so you know what's up. Because if you don't know that this stuff is going on, You're not going to be able to tune your own fork. And look, no one's going to tune it for you. You have to be willing to do this yourself. And I'll do a call with you and help you out. And we'll do some stuff right here in a minute to show you this. But the point is this: your body is always talking to you. At any point in the day, you can literally in real time now, every now, track in. You can get clear on where you're breathing from. So just take a deep breath right now, all the way down through my stomach. Okay, which means my body's at peace. All right. But now, if I took a deep breath and my breath was stuck up here, or maybe just a little bit, then that's going to tell me, yo, we got a spill on aisle 13 and I need to figure out what's up so I can clean it up. Because if I don't, that means that wherever I'm stuck at on my body emotionally, that is what my station is. Okay. The law of attraction is very real. People are like, yeah, it's woo woo. I'm like, it's not woo. It's so exacting, specific, and perfected with how we interact with our world, our matrix, that whatever you are feeling, you're going to get more experiences in the form of people, circumstances, situations, and events that match who you be or what you feel, not what you're thinking. People don't get this. Our thinker is only 7% of the equation. 7. Words is only 7% of the equation. What's the other 93, you ask? Good question. 38% is tonality. Tonality. Body language is 55%, which is these things, shoulder positions, foot positions, just stuttering patterns. It's all code. And here's what I was going to tell you too. Whenever you have a thing that shows up, a broken bone, a skin rash, you smash your knee in the car, the door, whatever, you break your fingernail, all of it is code. Chipped tooth, bruises, constipation, anything that could ever show up on your person is emotional information. And when you really can get your mind wrapped around that, your life is going to change now, because I know how to help you with the codes to change it. People don't realize that our body is like the dashboard of our car. And when you're rolling down the road and it says, oh, well, you need to put some air in your tire, you need to put some oil in your car, or whatever, what do? Well, when you go and do that thing, you put some air in your tire, you maintenance your car and get the oil change, what happens? The light goes off. It's exactly the same. There is no difference. Since we're here, I'll break this down for you. So hands are about handling. Duh, right? Arms, torso is about doing. That makes sense, right? Legs, moving. Feet, understanding. Neck connects our thinking, knowing, and remembering with our body, which is about doing. So when someone has neck stuff, right side could be a masculine figure, or male could be a pain in the neck. But it could also be about me thinking about something I don't want to do, or doing something I'm not sure how to do something that I'm thinking about. There's multiple questions that can come up from one area. And here's the thing, like, I've been doing this for a while now. I've never ever in my life ever seen this not work. Michelle knows that's how we do, is we come on here live and do demos. And I will throw myself into the worst shit with people and clean it up, because here's what you need to know. With what I'm going to show you, and Michelle will play around, so she's a play around. She's a good coach. What you need to know is that when these things are going on, your body's going to give you the data in real time. So whenever you're like, something's up, I'm going to show you exactly how to figure out what's up, and then show you how to change it. Because once you know what is up, and you know, oh, I have fear, or I have anger, or whatever the emotion is, it takes 3 seconds to change it. 3. You don't need to talk about it. No one even needs to know what is going on. And I'll give you a couple of examples. So let's just say you're driving down the road and all of a sudden your state changes, like, ooh, I got something going on. What do I do? Well, here's what you do. Okay, and I'll give you that. Y'all can have this chart for free. Michelle, I'll leave her my text number and you can get this for free. But this chart right here, this is my Abra system, like ABRRA. This is like abracadabra, like poof to create with words. These circles are literally the physical homes, not vacation home, not rental home. Home, like you cannot pick it up and move it home, okay? Meaning whenever something is up and you're breathing from your chest, meaning your breath is not going down below your belly button authentically, because a lot of my lady clients and people who are more in tune know that they're supposed to be breathing through their stomach, and they automatically try to do it. That's not what I'm telling you. I'm going to get your state to where it automatically happens. You don't have to consciously do it, because if you're consciously doing it, but you don't know that you're consciously doing it because it's the right thing, Herbert over here is not going to know he's completely out of alignment because he thinks he's breathing through his stomach, but the whole time he's making himself consciously do it to look good or be right. Not going to work, because that means authentically that is not our state. Okay. And once they show you how to clean this up, it's very simple. So here you go. So let's say, for example,
Really quick,
you have,
Ryan,
yep.
people that are listening just audio, will you just keeping
Oh,
that
walk the
in?
chart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will. So with the chart that I'm showing you right now, people listening to audio, y'all can have this chart for free. My suggestion to you is save it as your screensaver, because when I show you this and you really get the simplicity of it, because honestly, like once we go through and do just some example codes, it's third grader stuff. Like we should have been taught this a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking kindergarten, maybe first grade. This should have been taught to us, and we were not. It's very, very disgusting. Knowing that I'm almost 50 and just now kind of uncovering this stuff and figuring out what's going on. The problem is that sounds weird saying that I'm almost 50. I'm like, fuck, that was fast. Wow.
It's crazy.
So
You look like you're in your 30s.
well, I appreciate that. I've done a lot of work too, but I think that too, there's a lot of validity to emotional work, because when you do the work, your DNA is going to change your expression. And what we're doing, so you know, is we're helping you to resurrect your entire lineage. Like you would not be listening to or connected with the type of information that I share if you are not called to resurrect your entire lineage, because that's kind of what happens when someone like me shows up in your life. It is to solve those kinds of problems for you. And the cool part is it's very easy to do, and it doesn't take very long. Like you probably could clean up your lineage in probably an hour. Because once I show you this, it's very simple. So, all right. So for those of you who are not seeing what I'm going to show you here, I'll break this down for you. Imagine, oh, here's a good example for you. Think about this one, because this will help you nail it. Michelle will get this too. So think about a time in your past when you felt like crying. Did you notice how your throat got tight?
Yeah.
That's how sorrow and sadness feels when it's present.
Wow.
Okay. So now that you have had that experience, oh, I can relate to that. I felt like crying yesterday. Just so y'all know, I'm a grown ass person and I cry a lot. Like, is sometimes there's no holding it back. It just happens. And I think that's honestly a good sign of you doing a lot of work on yourself, because you don't have any filters. Like, you're going to know exactly how I feel because you're going to see it on my face. If I'm in a bad mood, like he's in a stank face, don't talk to him right now, because you'll know, because I don't hide it at all. I'm like, dude, this guy's in a shitty mood. Yes, I'm going to go by myself right now. Okay. So the point is for you to know thyself. And this is what I'm showing you, because once you go through and clean all this stuff up, not only are you going to restore your peace in seconds, you're also going to be able to restore your ability to thrive on higher levels of existence, because you're able to clean up those lower density shame, guilt, unforgiveness, resentment. I don't love myself, death wishes, whatever it may be. All of those things you can clean up in a few seconds, right? So let's go through the chart. So you have the example of your throat getting tight. That is the first, if you imagine a circle in your throat, that's the first location. Okay. Now, if you just imagine another circle like right underneath that on your chest, that's fear, anxiety. Ditch the word anxiety forever. Anxiety is just fear. And if I can get you off of thinking anxious and get you into fear, it takes 2 seconds to solve it. But if you're in anxiety, like, oh, well, then I need to go see someone so they can give me something and waste some more of my time and my money and not solve your problem. I'm talking about solving your problem in 2 seconds. Because once you know what it is, the code is simple. And we'll go through some examples in a second. So you have circle in your throat, sorrow and sadness. You got circle in your chest, that's fear. Solar plexus is grief. Fear is again shows up in your stomach, which is important, because sometimes you might have you ever had an experience, Michelle, where you felt hungry, but you know you're like, I'm not hungry. Why
Oh
am I
my
hungry?
gosh. Yeah.
That's fear. And that's exactly how it feels like. Okay. And that's important because I am a person who loves to eat and not just eats to live. And I have a nice tendency to get up in the middle of the night and polish off jars of jelly and peanut butter and all kinds of shit. So I did that last night. So I actually have boxes in my house with combinations on them that this guy does not know the code to, because I will eat all that shit. I cannot sleep at night if I have sugars in my house. Like, hide them from me, or I will go and dig them and find them. It's worse than drugs and alcohol and women. For me, it has been anyway. So just giving you full disclosure, right? So you got throat, sorrow, sadness. You got fear, chest, grief, solar plexus. Fear shows up again in your stomach, like you're hungry. Remember that when you know you're like, man, why am I hungry? That's how fear shows up. But here's the problem. I didn't know that until maybe like 6 years ago. After I've been 253 different times, eating lots of foods because I thought I was hungry. I had fear going on, but I didn't know that. A lot of people have social anxiety. This is an example. Social fear, fear of rejection, fear of not being loved. And then with the computer age and stuff, and people having less social skills and less peace of mind in themselves, and then they go out in public and all that shit is like magnified because they're not at peace within themselves, and then they have all these external experiences further validating how they don't feel at peace. It's a freaking nightmare until you clean it up, because it's going to keep showing up. Because listen, life doesn't care. From my experience, life doesn't care. Life is going to give you what you're committed to being, and if you don't know that, take heed now, because if you got some things going on that you're unaware of, it's going to show up in your life in the form of other people, circumstances, situations, or events that are going to match how you feel or who you are being. How would I know who I was being? This is what we're tracking right now. I'm showing you. First off, you need to know if you're breathing from your chest, that means the person you're being is out of alignment. That means that your nervous system is in fight or flight or freeze or ah. Okay, that's sympathetic nervous system. That's where most people are. Imagine, since we are very powerful creators of, let's say 70%, 80% of the population has no idea what we're talking about, and they don't even know, and they're probably great people, but they have no idea that the vibrational person they're bringing to the game is totally out of alignment, or which means that's the tuning fork. That's the station that they're attracting from is That's a problem. Okay, and look, you could be in seconds, but you could also be from to in seconds. And if you don't have a way to track it, you're not going to know, and it's going to further snowball. Okay, so this is what I'm showing you, how to get out of thinking about it. We're going to feel about it. When I can get you out of your head and into your body, that's going to tell you in a split second what's up. Okay, so you have right here. So going from the top, those of you can't see, throat, sorrow and sadness. You go down about an inch right there, the location in your chest is fear. You go down about another inch, which is your solar plexus, which is like your xiphoid process or your sternum area, bottom of chest, top of stomach. That's grief. Fear again shows up in your stomach. We talked about that. Subconscious grief shows up below your belly button. And then on your back is where anger shows up. Okay, now what exactly does this mean? What this means is, for those of you who are committed to thriving, this is the only emotional intelligence system I have ever needed to solve problems. Ever. Never seen it not work. You can use it on yourself within seconds. It doesn't take but 2 seconds to solve a problem. And Michelle, let's play along. We'll do a little demo. So track your breathing. Where are you breathing from?
Um, yeah, the top of my chest. It's funny. I literally thought to myself, "You should do this work before you get on with him," and I didn't do it. So I'm like, okay,
Right.
we'll get
That's
to
why
track.
we're going to do it live. We got a good guinea human. Okay. So here is what we're going to do. We're going to do a little demo. Michelle's a trooper. We hung out quite a few times, so she knows what's going on. So she'll be a good guinea human. So you can experience this. And my suggestion to you is follow along with this and look, okay? Even if you think you don't have something going on, my invitation to you is to do this anyway. It's free. You can't fuck it up. It's literally takes 2 to 3 seconds to do it. But here's the deal. So many times when I'm working with people, they don't know that their body is expressing in these areas, and they don't know that it was until I give them the code and they say it and it disappears. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, wow, I did have something there. They're just used to it. We've never been instructed this. You not, more than likely, it's probably the first time you're probably even hearing this, other than Michelle, right? All right, here we go. So here's what you're going to say first. I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to feel my feelings,
to feel my feelings,
and it's okay.
and it's okay.
Nice. That's always standard. And I say that because what we're doing is showing you how to consciously communicate to your subconscious. I'm showing you how to position yourself where Pops or God can put his super on your natural. And if you're in lower vibrational states, you're not going to be able to get your temple tuned up to a space to be on that channel. Shame, guilt, unforgiveness, fear, that's a vibrational thing. We got to clean it all up to have a better communication line so it's not fuzzy. Okay. So now here's the next part. Ask yourself, is this mine?
Is this mine?
Did your state change at all?
My head turned slightly to the right. Not all
Okay.
the way, but like slightly.
Does your body lighten up any? It might have if you, it might not have if your head said no, because that would be a no for me.
I didn't feel a difference in my body, just the head turn.
Okay, whose head?
My head.
Who's up? The head, my head, the family, my family, right? It's all code. So, okay, so those of y'all who are listening and watching, this little thing about is this mine? There's going to be so many times if you consider yourself to be an empathic being, there's going to be so many times throughout the day potentially where you're feeling stuff that is not yours. From my experience, there is no difference between how my feelings feel and someone else's feel on me. It feels exactly the same. So a shortcut throughout the day is this mine? So I might even say that I will say that first. So throughout the day, these things I'm sharing with y'all now, this is what I'm doing all day long. I use the tools and the skill sets I'm sharing with you 40 to 100 times a day. Okay. All day long. Boink, 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 boink. When I'm out of alignment, adjust them up where I'm at, and then we tweak it, right? So now here's what we know. I give myself permission to feel my feelings, and it's okay. Check. We know we have confirmation. Her body's like, yes, that's the first thing. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to find the locations on the body. So track your body. Do you have any tension in your throat?
Yes.
All right. How about your chest?
Yes.
Okay. Stomach or solar plexus?
Yes.
All right. Stomach?
Can't really tell. I have this tie around my waist right now, but
Okay. We'll come back. Hey, how about underneath your belly button?
yes.
Okay. On your back?
Yes.
All right, good. So here's what we know. Let's call it a full Christmas tree, which means our body is fully lit up. Okay. Perfect. Doesn't matter because it is what it is. We're just taking inventory on what our facts are. Facts are she says she has tension in all those locations. Again, I'll give you my chart for free. Just use my text message number and I'll leave it with Michelle. Just comment the word chart and it'll pop up for you. And I'll see you when you get back there and we'll do a call or whatever to say, hey, I listened to you on Michelle's podcast and I'll respond to you directly. So it'll be me. All
What's
right, now
funny
here's
though,
what.
I want to say what's funny is I actually haven't done this work in the last probably week, so it's definitely been um, a collected Christmas tree.
Nah, that's okay. That's why, in my opinion, doing this at least hourly will help you tremendously. Because here's the thing. When you first do this, you might have a lot of doing this because think about this. Let's say you're 30, 40, 50 years young. You may have never had an emotional tool or conversation about this at all. So that means however much life you have stacked up, these are the things that are going to be coming up for us to identify and then to go and clean up. Okay. And it's okay because as we clean all this stuff up, what you're going to find is your mind is going to get quieter. Now, here's some interesting. I never thought that our mind could get completely just no thoughts. Thought it was impossible. And I had no idea until it happened. But once you clean up all your past and you get to neutral and you're here now, then it's just a matter of just adjusting as things come up along the way. It doesn't take a long time. 2 to 3 hours over a little while, just cleaning stuff up and going through and doing lineage stuff. But once you have that under your belt, the rest of it is gravy. It's just you being able to be conscious in the moment and tweak your states. Okay. So here we go. So now we know all of these are active. We're going to do the subconscious one on the bottom underneath the belly button first. Okay. So now Abra, A is awareness. That's what we just did. We came through. We became aware. Interesting. There's a two stutter for me. I give myself permission to make this fun and easy. We'll talk about it in a second. Those of you who can see those numbers in there, those is code. So when someone stutters, that was a four stutter. That's fear. I would go and find it. If someone stutters three times, there's a three, and a three. Okay, it's very high level code. It's very simple, but once you get it, simple. All right, now here's the first R in ABRA, which is release, just like it sounds. Very simple. Here we go. So I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to feel my subconscious grief,
to feel my subconscious grief,
and it's okay.
and it's okay.
Good. All right, just track your body. Does it feel a little calmer?
Oh yeah, it took a huge breath. I wasn't even completed with the sentence yet, and it already took a huge breath.
That is real-time validation. And this is why I love this because your body's going to tell you instantly whether you nailed it or not. Deep breath, scratch it, feeling calmer, the thing goes away, all of that. Now, this right here that we're going to do next This is the second R in your ABRA chart, in your ABRA system, okay? So the second R is recode. Very simple. This is the secret sauce. Mind you, we don't know who or what is involved here. Doesn't really matter, from my opinion. We can do knowing about it or not knowing about it. What we do know is her body has got stuff going on, and that's what we're tracking. So now we're going to go and finish this piece off right here, which is the recode. So the recode is I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to love my subconscious grief
to love my subconscious grief
into my joy.
into my joy.
Great. Track below your belly button and your head said yes. Did you track it? You feel it?
Oh, my lower back pain just went away.
Okay, good. So a lot of times too, when people have back stuff, it's solely indicative of what's going on in the front. As a matter of fact, if anyone's ever having back issues or angers, what that would be in here, because you'll notice when you get your chart, there's anger over here. Anytime someone has back stuff going on, there's always something going on up front first before this shows up. So if you were to do the work on this over here, would be smart, because that often will go away. So that right there was the recode for the subconscious grief. Pretty simple, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back up. We're going to go to the next spot. So now we're going to use ABRA again. We're just going to the next location. Same system, same. Okay, so now we're going to do grief this time. So the release is I give myself permission
I give myself permission.
to feel my grief,
I already took a breath to feel my grief,
and it's okay.
and it's okay.
Nice. And your head saying yes, and it dropped in too. So now here we go. Now here comes the recode, which is the secret sauce. So I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to love my grief
to love my grief
into my joy.
into my joy.
Track your solar plexus. Is it lighter?
My body's like leaning forward.
That means I can do this.
Wow.
Real time. Like there's a lot. I'm paying attention, but I'm not paying attention, because when people know I'm paying attention, they're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm just watching your body move and just validating. And mainly so when it does happen, I can help you like, hey, did you notice that? Did you notice this? Did you notice that? Because look, when I'm not there, you need to be able to do this for yourself. And what I'm showing you how to do is have a conscious, super conscious, intelligent conversation with your higher self, your God self, and the all versions of yourself, and bringing them all to the same page at the same time. This is what you're doing. You're learning how to interact with this version of yourself using your body language, which is your truth. Okay. So now here's what we know. So we cleaned up this one. We cleaned up this one. So for those of you wondering, we cleaned up solar plexus and we cleaned up below belly button. So just track your breathing. Tell me, where's your breathing? Does it feel calmer?
Yes, a lot
All
calmer.
right. Yep. So now track your chest. Is there anything still there?
A
Probably
little
is.
bit, but it feels like a little under my heart.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
my heart and there's some back.
all right, so here we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next cycle of ABRA. So listen, all we're doing is the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over. That's it. Once you have the codes, which I have them for you, that's it. You don't need to talk about it. No one needs to know who is involved or whatever. You just need to pull up the person, because look, let's say, for example, that you have a person that you'd like to work on, or maybe there's some relationship stuff from previous relationships you'd like to clean up. So you don't have any attachments going on. So when you're rolling into a new experience, you have all this baggage stuff that's been cleaned up. Most people don't ever do that because they don't know. I didn't know that. You know what I mean? So all we're doing now is if you were to pull up a person, whatever is active about that person, your body will fire it off seconds. Pow, 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 pow. And if not, your breathing will breathe through your stomach, and that way you know your body's at peace. Make sense?
Um,
Very simple. Like honestly, the hardest part is believing that it is that simple. Most people are like, it can't be that simple. I have found that timeless, priceless wisdom is very simple.
mm-hmm.
Okay. And then when I say timeless, as long as you're talking and as long as we're using words and as long as we're still in bodies, then the information I share with you will be legit. And that's why I love it. That's why I teach it, because same thing with nutrition and all that stuff. As long as we're eating and needing foods, and the information around food will still be legit. All right.
And
So
the
now
people
here's,
listening can follow along with this, right? They can be saying this with us.
of course, I
As
highly encourage you to
everybody.
do so. Yep. So now here comes the fear spot. Okay. So there's two of them. There's chest and there's stomach. This code we're going to use will solve both of these spots. So the release code is, let's just do this though. I'm going to pull a little ninja trick. The only reason we're going to do a ninja trick is because her body has taken the commands very easily. Okay. So we're just going to go see if we can go straight for the juice or the recode. Okay. The recode is like, let's go straight for the alchemy of it. And so, I'm showing you how to alchemize or transmute your emotional states into higher conscious positive states. Okay. So the fear one is this. So I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to love my fear
to love my fear
into my courage and my faith.
into my courage and my faith.
Great. Track your chest. Is it lighter?
I took a huge breath.
Good.
Still releasing.
Where are you breathing from now?
Um, sorry, I'm having a huge release in like my stomach area. And now I'm leaning forward. Wow.
Yeah. So if you breathing below your belly button or is it still up some?
It's still up some.
Okay. So let's go to throat. So I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to love my sorrow
to love my sorrow
into my joy.
into my joy.
Track your throat. Is it lighter?
Yeah, my body's taking a huge breath. Shoulders just went up. Whoa.
Yep. Which shoulder?
Maybe the right one.
So sloughing off burdens about what I'm doing. That's what that is. Okay. So now here comes the next one. So there's two spots in there. So the next one is I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to love my sadness
to love my sadness
into my joy.
into my joy.
Great. Track your throat. Tell me what you got.
Huge deep breath again.
If we cleaned it all up, we might need to go do back. The only one we have left is anger, which is back. So, but just track your breathing. That's always going to be the telltale. So when y'all are doing this, every time you do this and you get a release, track your breathing and see where it goes to. Because once I help you to solidify your understanding on what your breath represents and where it is breathing, where it's going to, like obviously I know it's going in your mouth, I know it's going in your lungs, but something interesting. When I'm totally at peace, what'll happen is it's like I skip this part of my breathing and my breath starts right here and it goes. That's how I know my body's in parasympathetic or relaxation or peace or faith. Because look, choose this day whom ye shall serve, fear or faith. How would we know? Well, if someone's breathing from their chest, we know they're in fear. If someone's breathing down through their belly button, down through their stomach, then we know faith is active. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we're going to do back. I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to love my anger
to love my anger
into my forgiveness,
into my forgiveness.
and I reclaim my authority.
And I reclaim my authority.
Now track your back, track your body, and track your breathing.
Taking a huge breath. Oof.
And see where your breathing's at. Is if we cleaned it all up, it should be unrestricted from top to bottom. Okay, you would just notice just a clean channel.
I still feel a little in the throat.
Okay, whose throat?
My throat.
Have you been holding back your expression any?
Yes.
I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to express my truth
to express my truth
with grace, peace, and ease.
with grace, peace, and ease.
Now track your throat.
Wow, it's like I feel it dissolving.
Yeah, so we went through sorrow and sadness first, and there was still stuff. So that's going to tell me it's going to be about expression or something like that. Again, very easy to fix.
It felt like there were blocks around here. All of this just dissolved.
Yeah, so that's all feeling world and lymphatics. So when people have lymphatic issues or I can't, this is too hard, that's all lymphatic stuff. Lymph nodes, lymph nodes. Matter of fact, if someone comes down with Hodgkin's lymphoma, that's a belief system of I can't, this is too hard, which is a big deal. So when someone has a lot of mucus, that's I can't, this is too hard. The mucus is the symptomology of I can't, this is too hard that is active like in real time. And the whole I give myself permission to make this fun and easy, that's the code. That's the upgrade. That right there will transform your life in itself easily because it's going to change your attitude every time. Boink, boink, boink. When life happens, I give myself permission to make this fun and easy. When something else happens, I give myself permission to make this fun and easy. It allows me to bring myself back to center line.
I still feel a little bit of it kind of feels like pain or tension in my mid back. So not between my shoulder blades or like the lower back, but it's like
Okay,
mid.
you ready?
Yeah.
So have you had anger about not feeling supported?
Yes.
Pain is suppressed anger. So I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to love my pain
to love my pain
into my enthusiasm.
into my enthusiasm.
And I give myself permission
And I give myself permission
to love my anger
to love my anger
into my forgiveness.
into my forgiveness.
And I reclaim my authority.
And I reclaim my authority.
And I am supported by God in me.
And I am supported by God and me.
God in me.
I'm supported by God in me.
There you go. And your head is saying yes. Track your back and tell me what you notice.
Yeah, it made me burp.
Resentment. I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to feel my resentment
to feel my resentment
about feeling my resentment.
about feeling my resentment.
And it's okay.
And it's okay.
And I give myself permission
And I give myself permission
to love my resentment
to love my resentment
to my forgiveness.
into my forgiveness.
And I reclaim my authority.
And I reclaim my authority.
And I touch all my feelings and experiences
And I touch all my feelings and experiences
with my love.
with my love.
Track it now.
Wow, yeah, huge deep breath. I feel like I just like something opened up for sure.
Yep. So just know whenever pain shows up, that's suppressed anger. And
Oh,
no matter where it shows up, it's suppressed anger.
it is so
No, when anytime somebody has a tumor or something like that, that's suppressed anger. Wherever it shows up is emotional code.
holy cow. Does that happen with animals? Is that possible with animals?
For sure. Animals will track our stuff, especially if our humans not feeling it, it'll show up on our animals.
Holy cow.
Hmm. For sure.
So then the human just needs to do this work then and it'll clean up the animal?
Correct. The animals as a surrogate. So if the person is not feeling their stuff, the dog or the animal could take it on to allow the human to not have to experience it. So yeah, very interesting.
My body just leaned forward when I got that information.
That's all code. I mean, the value of body language is priceless because your God self is telling you your truth by the second. It's just, do you have the ability to realize and recognize what's going on? Have you done enough work to where you can trust yourself? Do you trust the information? Do you trust your ability? Like that's really what it boils down to is, do I trust myself? And if you haven't done any work on yourself, you're not going to for sure. That's why it takes time. Like, it doesn't have to be a lot of time, but it takes time. It takes time cleaning up entities. It takes time cleaning up your inner child. It takes time installing new habits and new emotional tools. It doesn't take a lot of time because in 30 days, your life could be drastically different with the right information. But it doesn't take but seconds to solve a problem when someone's actually aware of what's going on. It literally, I mean, this is what you're experiencing right now, and is just being able to identify the things, say the codes, and your body's like changing in real time. That's the value of this, is because you'll know whether it worked or not in seconds. And I've never had it not work. You just got to have the right codes to use.
Wow. So I want to what about living in close quarters with people? So for those who are living in close quarters with people, or they're married, or they have roommates, or it's kids, but when you live in close quarters with people, how often are you actually in your own being versus in other people's stuff?
Well, I'm always in my own being as best as possible, but you also need to know too that our relationships are an expression of our unconscious mind. And that's important because when we have relationships or people that are close to us, they are an expression of our unconscious mind, which means we're not aware that this is in us And then it shows up over here and like, oh, this person's being an ass, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, oh, okay, well, what exactly am I being that's showing up over this way? Because look, one of the hardest things to get, and Neville Goddard talks about this a lot, is like every person in your life ever is just you pushed out. The craziest thing about life is that there's only one of us here. We're all connected. So whatever you do to me, you're doing to you, and whatever I do to you, you're doing to me, like kind of thing, right? So always take yourself, love yourself, bless other people because that is your God, that's you. And when you can love on other people and just bless them, you're blessing yourself. That's the most important part to remember is that whatever you're doing, consciously, unconsciously, is going to come back around. Remember that. So blessing people, cleaning up your stuff, putting good boundaries in place, all that's important because that's going to be how you can thrive faster. And just know that when you go through like this stuff I'm going through my 30-day challenge, but relationship tools and stuff like that are priceless because having tools to navigate conversations consciously is a big deal. And just to be perfectly Brian with all of you, like my relationship is not like that because my partner's not open-minded to that kind of stuff. We've been together 20 years, got an 18-year-old daughter, and there's been a lot of stuff going on, but a lot of things changing too. So I can promise you that wherever you're at in your experience with your relationships or whatever you have going on and you choose to embark on this journey, a couple things to consider. Number one, often your partner's not going to be interested in doing it with you because they're not interested in growing for fear or whatever purposes. And then what that means is that it's only a matter of time before that doesn't work out because there's no way in the world that you can move forward consciously, effectively with someone who's not open-minded to moving forward. It's like going to be a sore thumb after a while because there's nothing you have to relate to. It's just different, right? And you need to know that as that happens, there's times and seasons for everything. Nothing is permanent. People come and go all the time. So just let that be okay that a lot of things are transient in life. Don't attach to them. Remain flexible. Everything you do is going to be inside of you that's going to show up outside of you. So as you can really take this information to heart and you can learn how to use it, you can transform your relationship without ever having a word said about it by you just doing the work on yourself. Transforming your relationship means you may end up in a different one. If it's your higher choice, it doesn't matter because your higher choice is so remember this. Your highest choice is everyone's highest choice. I'll say it to you again. Your highest choice, which is your greatest level of enthusiasm, is everyone's highest choice. So don't ever feel like because you're winning, somebody's got to lose. That's not how this works. Everyone can win when you're functioning as your higher self. How would you know that? Because you're at peace, you're having fun, you're enthusiastic, authentically. Not like trying to mentally masturbate yourself into the situation. Like, no, like I am authentically at peace and authentically rapturously enthusiastic because I can track it. Here, let me show you all this real quick. Check this out. If I can show you, maybe. This right here, watch, is my chart. And I'll go through this more in my challenge. So this chart right here, if you don't know this or haven't seen it, there's a 20 right there, which is which is shame. Let's see if you can see it. Shame, guilt, despair, apathy, grief, fear, anxiety, all the way over to avatar and enlightenment. I'm going to use this chart to show you how I track my emotional state sometime. I'm going to put my pendulum right there and I'm going to say, all right, show me a yes. Okay, where am I operating at emotionally right now? Probably over to 1,000 plus right now. I can tell by how I feel. This pendulum will tell me instantly what's up. And there it goes. Boom, 1,000 plus.
Wow.
Okay, now I could sit here and be over here in shame and guilt and work on myself in real time, and the thing will go all the way over. Okay, so there are tools and things that I use to support myself, but also tools that I use to support other people because I could be working on Michelle and not even be anywhere near her. I can use these tools that I have to track stuff and like, hey, adjust this, adjust that. And through muscle testing, it'll give me ways to tap in. And what I love about this is I can get out of guessing about it. Because there's times when I thought, man, I feel great, but I was in shame and guilt.
Wow.
Meaning I had no idea that I thought I felt great, but I was in shame and guilt. So they can be very tricky. And if you're not intentionally committed to being conscious, one thing is for sure, you're going to be unconscious. Our world is designed to keep people stuck. Our world is designed to keep people entertained. Our world is designed to keep people out there instead of in here. And it's only going to get more intense for people who don't have spiritual tools, grounding tools, emotional intelligence tools. Some people are about to lose their marbles because of the things going on because they have no idea what's happening. They have no control. They've done no work on themselves, and the fucking curtain's about to get pulled on a lot of people, and they're not prepared for it. So the only thing I can share to you and suggest to you is get in your body, figure out what your emotional body is telling you, clean it up so you can change what you're seeing by changing who you're being. That's the only way that it works. If you don't like what you're seeing, change who you're being. Very simple. How would you do that? We just did it. We just showed you. And you can obviously grab, I have a series that teaches you all this stuff, but the point is getting out of your mind and into your body so you can track the information that's authentically going on so then you could change it. That's how you do it. All right, what questions you get on that?
I wanted you to share, if you will, about entities
Hmm?
and because a lot of people would a normal person might freak out hearing that, or they've seen these movies of exorcism movies, right? Like that's kind of what
Real.
society pushes out. So if you
Yeah.
just want to touch on that and give kind of your viewpoint.
Yeah, they're real. You more than likely have them on you. Don't take it personal. Just take responsibility. And I'll tell you why. One of my coaches a little while back was like, "Yo, you got some entities on you." I'm like, "Well, you lost your fucking mind." I was like, "Me and Pops are tight." And she's like, "You got some entities on you." I'm like, "So just coming from you, I will listen to what you're saying." And she says, "Okay, do this meditation." And I have the meditation I'll give to you for free. When you use my text message number and you comment the word chart and you press send, this will pop up. Then type the word entity, ENTITY, and press send. This meditation will pull up. Anything you get from me, create a file for us and save it because what you get from me, you might need it 2, 3 years from now. You might need it multiple times a week. You might need it 5 times a week. I sometimes visit it a couple times a week because there's things going on that I'm very tuned in and I can tell when something is up and when I'm connecting with Pops and something is off and I'm not feeling my nervous system is because something has got a dampener over me. And it's usually an entity. Okay. So my friend, she says, "Hey, do this meditation." So I did. Sure enough, I had some things on me. Because as soon as she rings that bell at the end, bing, 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 my whole state changed. Poosh, instantly. I'm like, ah, oh, I did have something on me. Okay. So it's very real. It's passed down through generations, through family stuff. It's picked up through people. It's picked up through lower vibrational experiences. Like we are living in a very spiritual world. The spiritual world is far more real than what we are here. And when people kind of start to get their mind wrapped around it, it can be a lot. Especially, well, I can't see it. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not impact. Like, look at the wind. Can you see the wind? No. But the wind will rip trees out of the ground and stuff like that too, right? Same thing. So entities is a very big deal. And I'll tell you this, like my partner has entities on her and she's unwilling to deal with it. And I can tell when I'm talking to people because I see those entities come through and I see those little things come through. And it's very real. And the more in tune you get, be prepared because this shit's going to come up. I had a conversation with one of my clients one day, Friday afternoon, like 3 o'clock. She started slurring. I'm like, "Yo, are you drinking or what?" And all of a sudden, this dude comes through and I'm like, "Nicole, dude." And I'm like, "Yo," I'm talking to Pops. I'm like, "Yo, what's the deal here? What I need to do?" And all of a sudden, I'll tell you this too, because you could use this tool. The sacred violet flame is a big deal. Like I use a lot of violet flame stuff because it works to be able to transmute and to protect me. Okay. Even when there's freezes coming through, I use the violet flame on my house, my cars, everything, and it always protects and it never fails me. I use it a lot. And this code is this sacred violet flame shield on. Okay. Now, when I'm talking to this lady, my client, and this dude comes through. I'm like, "What is this entity in real time?" So I'm like, "Okay." Well, and then what I did is I imagined her in the flame. She's quasi conscious because she's still talking to me, but this other voice is coming through. I'm like, "This is pretty interesting." So I put myself in the flame, put her in the flame, and all of a sudden I hear this, "It's hot in here." And then boom, gone. Client back straight. I'm like, "Well, that was interesting." Folks, look, things are not as they seem. Take my word for it. Telling you this now so you don't get your freaking panties in a wad when shit happens. You're like, "He was not joking." I'm telling you, there's things going on that are a lot more out of our boxes than most people are aware of, or most people care to know. Most people don't want to know. They'd rather watch their foosball and go to their concerts, and all that shit is means nothing. Okay, nothing. If you're wrapping your time up doing that stuff, I'm gonna encourage you to take a couple deep breaths and get yourself into some tools that are gonna last you, because none of that stuff is going with you. And if you're using that stuff to occupy your time so you don't have to figure out what's up, I'm gonna encourage you to change some adjustments. I'll help you, but you need to know that you're not gonna be fulfilled that way. And it doesn't take a long time to clean that stuff up that you're avoiding like the plague. It takes 2 seconds, literally. The hardest part is saying yes to yourself and being okay with whatever happens. Thank God I did that at early life. I was like, I don't care what pain or what shit costs me. If it's the truth, then I'm committed to finding it. And I've always had that commitment, and I still do. And it's come with some price tags, not necessarily financial, some of them, but a lot of them were free. But it came with a lot of me being just going to the depths of my soul and being willing to look at whatever was going on to clean it up. That's the only way you're going to be able to resurrect your life into something that you're proud of and that you are authentically congruent and in alignment with. That is your signature, because you are the only person who's going to do what you do. So many times we get lost in comparing ourselves with other people, but listen, so many times people don't take action because of what other people are going to think. I'm like, look, is this person paying your bills? No. Then what difference does it make? The person who's judging you is not even home because they're more concerned about what someone else is thinking about them. So if you think about it, no one's really home because they're all concerned about what someone else is thinking about them. Don't. Doesn't matter. And that's the hardest part, is getting over the people pleasing part. So just say this, use this. I release myself
I release myself
from all need of approval
from all need of approval
and fear of disapproval.
and fear of disapproval.
There you go. That's a very powerful statement to get yourself off that hook. And it happens for me too sometimes. So sometimes I got to readdress it and say it, but just know that those little codes, those little one-liner statements, that's all you need to reprogram whatever's going on. You just need to know, okay, oh, I have that thing showing up. What did Brian say? Oh, he said, say this. And then it goes away. I go, oh, that was interesting. That's as hard
What's
as it gets.
what's
Hmm?
crazy is I actually felt a hook that I had that written down to ask you next. So I could feel a hook in like the middle of my back, like under my solar. It felt like there was a hook, but I was like,
Might
"What
be.
is that?" And then you literally said what you just said.
Yeah, attachments, there are a lot of them. Relationships, people who have done, black magic and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of things going on, but I can tell you, like, if you're truly connected spiritually, I believe the light side and the dark side are both helping you out at this point in time. At least I've kind of come to that equation, because you gotta understand, like, even though there's a dark side, it's the same thing. It's all energy of God. God's controlling both sides of the fence. However, what it looks like, it's one energy. Knowing that going into it and realizing you're one with all of it, once you can authentically settle into that knowingness and beingness, you will find a lot of this every day. Like, oh, I gotta do this. And that a lot of that shit will go away because you realize, like, I'm not taking any of this with me. I'm not taking my money. I'm not taking my cars. I'm not taking my house. I'm taking nothing other than the person I'm creating. That's it. Because even when I've been super deep into ayahuascas or ketamines or whatever, the whole time my mind is super crisp, body's not there. So that is what's going with you, is who you be. So as you rewire and recode your soul, that's what's going with you. We're here on a light mission. Like, this is the light school of Earth. This is supposed to be one of the shittiest experiences you can get yourself into. So welcome, congrats. Okay. We're here in the most shitty experience ever. So it is our job to create our heaven on earth. And this is what I'm showing you how to do, is how to activate this version of you so that no matter where you be, you're able to take the chaos that is around thee and you're able to shift it into coherence, because that's the person you're showing up with. Make sense?
Will you repeat
Very.
that one line again that you said about that you just that helped that hook in my back?
I don't know, what was it?
It was
I
about,
release myself from all need of approval and fear of disapproval.
yeah, that was a good one. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a $40,000 piece of wisdom. So I'll tell you all this because I think you probably should know. So I had a $40,000 motorcycle at one point in time, and it looked like this. It was red and silver though. Okay, 40,000 bucks confirmation. So I literally needed to sell my bike because I needed some cash. I'm like, well, I got a $40,000 bike in my garage. I need to get some money. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll go and sell it. So I took it to certain places and they were, we'll give you 6 grand. I'm like, do it. Fuck out of here, dude. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get rid of my bike for 6 grand. So I'm like, all right, well, that's not going to work at all. So I'm thinking, well, what I need to do is I need to find a person that I value their wisdom, and I'm going to trade them my bike for some support. And I did for 4 months of coaching, 10 grand a month. One of the most valuable things that I did because it gave me a couple of very good ahas. Number one, I released myself from all need of approval and fear of disapproval. That was one. Number two, I found out that I was looking for male validation, which is important because I find myself, even to this day, I find myself when there's certain people that not like guys, not that I'm attracted to like physically, but I'm attracted to something within them that I see that I'm currently unaware of in me that I do see in them. And that's why I'm drawn to it. I'm like, oh, but when earlier in my career, when I would see that, I would judge them because I was upset at myself for not being there, but I did not know that yet. So that right there was a $40,000 lesson when I found that out because I released myself from all need of approval and fear of disapproval. And I am already loved and validated. That was important because I find when I was working with my coach, paying 10 grand a month, like if I was charging someone 10 grand a month, I would check with them daily. Hey, what's up? How you doing? This guy's not like that. And when I didn't hear from him and I was judging him based off what I thought would be ideal for what I was expecting, I would get really pissed off and I would go into all these stories and shit. And I'm like, and then when I would hear him say, oh, you did a great job, and I would get the old attaboy, and I'm like, well, this is really interesting because I'm noticing that my moods are shifting considerably off an attaboy versus someone not showing up and me making things up. And rather than reaching out and talking about it, I didn't know it. Well, that's what helped me figure out that I was seeking male figure validation because I never got it from my dad, like, hey, you're doing a great job. I love you, yada, 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 whatever. My mom was definitely a nurturer, but I didn't get it from my dad. My dad's very quiet on that note. And it's just, it is what it is. My lesson in life, right? He probably didn't get it from his dad either. His dad's military and things like that. So it's my job to resurrect it ultimately. And once I was able to consciously identify it, I eliminated a lot of unnecessary going out of my way and being out of my body slash looking for things in other people that were really just identifying what I believed in me. And once I was able to clean that up and make those changes, it made a significant difference in who I brought to the table. I wasn't looking for anything from anybody. I didn't need an attaboy or, you know what I mean? I was like, I just didn't need that. But a lot of times people are seeking for that unknowingly. And people who are shitbags will take advantage of that if you don't know it, for sure.
You guys, I don't know if you're getting massive takeaways, but I've listened to him so many times, right? He and I have been in communication so many times, and I still, every single time he talks, I pick up so many things. So I would invite you guys to really even rewatch this and go with me as he was leading me through this. Go with me, walk yourself through all of what he was taking me through and see what changes in your body. And then you can also do a 15-minute call with him. I would highly, highly invite you to do that too. You're going to take massive progress away from just that call. I did. I couldn't believe how much progress. And this is coming from someone who I've done this kind of mental, emotional growth work, therapy. I've done all this stuff for 13 years now. I'm not a newbie to this, right? So that's why I'm like, every single human needs this.
Mhm. Especially spiritual ones, because what we're moving into right now is our whole world is about to change. And if you're not changing, one thing I can tell you for sure, life don't care. And I can tell you that the better off that you can be flexible, the better off you're going to be. The only way you can be flexible is to stay ready. People are like, are you going to get ready? What are you talking about? Get ready. I stay ready. There's no time to get ready. Like your ass had already better be in shape. Your ass had already be tuned up and tuned in. Like you don't have a lot of time to get ready. So you need tools that work now so you can get in the game now because that's when life is happening. Now, so many people are not healthy. They're not in shape. They don't know what to do. They follow everybody else who also doesn't know what they do. And I'm going to give you a real good piece of wisdom. If you're looking for advice from someone and you would not trade places with them right now, in that area of their life and maybe even some of the other ones, then you had better not be taking advice from those people. I have about 5 people I get wisdom from. That's it. So many, Brian, I don't care. Am I paying you? Nope. Then shut up. I don't care what you got to say. I didn't ask you for your opinion. I don't care. You got to be straight with people because if not, they're always going to try to pitch their self in. But look, if you look at someone and they're not rocking an exemplification of what I'm looking like, hey, I have zero interest in what's coming out of your mouth because you obviously you don't believe it. Why do I need to know about it? Because if you believed it, you look like you believed it. But a lot of people don't. People giving health advice, they're not even healthy. I'm like, it's kind of like our doctors in today. I'm like, yeah. So the point of the matter is this is go all in on yourself. Give yourself permission to say yes to yourself. And it might look like something like this. Hint, hint, hint. I give myself permission to forgive myself. My head says yes. I give myself permission to recommit to loving me. My head says yes. I give myself permission to say yes to me. And I give myself permission to have fun while I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. Because I can assure you this much. The only time that you're going to grow is when you're in a state or a place where you are not familiar. And there's a way to do it in a secure container with people who love you. They're going to pull your ass up rather than wringing you through the weeds. But if you don't know that and you don't have ways to address it and do that kind of stuff, then there's a lot of things you could do. But I'm just telling you, the things that you could do, why not just get them done in like 2 or 3 seconds and move on with your life? That's what I'm suggesting to you. So many people, oh, well, let's go talk about it for. I don't have hours to deal with that shit. Like, fuck, get out of here. You see what I'm saying? Or lifetimes. Like, if you're not solving my problem like now, like, what? There's nothing to discuss. What do you want to talk about?
Yes. And you guys, this work has literally changed my posture.
Hmm.
Like I'm a yoga person. I've done that kind of stuff, yoga, fitness, right? So posture is something I've always been aware of, but there have been parts of my body that have never changed until working with Brian. So this will change your physique.
It will for sure, because you need to understand, like, look, even just in my own experience here, so I'll tell you all this real quick. So when I did this at 30, I'm 47 now, I maintain a physique is equally good or better than that pretty much year round now. And I'll tell you this, so too, after I did this, I got out of shape again for 12 years. Okay. I didn't do it intentionally. I just did not do any of the work emotionally here, but I didn't know that. Like, no one said, hey, you need to change your identity. Like, what do you mean? Like, go buy a new car? What does that mean? Okay, feel a feeling. What are you talking about? Like, I didn't get that class in school or homeroom or any of that shit. Did you? No, no one did. That's the whole point. That's why most people have no idea what they're talking about, right? So when you go through here, it took me 12 years to figure this out. And I have a training I'll give to you for free. When you text message my text line, you comment the word wheat belly, like wheat bread and then belly. Dr. William Davis, the author of Wheat Belly and Undoctored, he is the guy who got me tracking blood sugar. Now, look, when you rewire and recode your identity, you got to understand you're already built to look and feel amazing. That's your fucking default. If you're not expressing from your default, it's because there's things going on that have got you out of your default and into some other situation. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, we got to clean everything up, get you back to where you're loving yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, you're never going to do anything differently to change. Like, that is the hardest part. I'll tell you, the hardest part I had was loving myself. I almost knocked myself off like 12 times. That astronomical amount of drugs. I have collapsed every vein on my body from doing intravenous drug stuff, like you name it. I have all the hats and all of the weird shit because it was just my lot and what I chose to do. But I really think I needed those downhill experiences for me to really get both sides of the coin in order. Because here's the thing, if you have high levels of trajectory in your life, you're going to have some lows, because there's no way for you to have a super high if you don't have a super low. Your super low is just a direct mirror respect of who you're going to become. So if you've had shitty experiences in your life, awesome, pat yourself on the back, because that means you can use that experience to change your life if you actually are willing to do the work. And if you don't do the work, it's going to change your life.
Yes, I'm like, yes, yes, yes to all of that. And would you speak into, and then we're gonna start like wrapping it up. I know we could talk forever, y'all. I could have him on all day long because this man is just full of information. That's why you want to go follow him. You want to text him on his text number. You want to, do all the things to stay connected to this guy, because I would call him a guru. I don't know if he'd call himself that, but I would call him
Yeah.
that. He's an expert in this field in various areas that we haven't even tapped into because we don't have all the time to. But that's how much information and wisdom this guy has. So, but Brian, would you tap into when someone doesn't really love themselves, or they say that that's selfish, or they say that's ungodly, or oh, we're not supposed to love ourselves. You're being, it's
Yeah, let's
typically
talk about
religious
it.
background type of people. Will you
Yeah,
speak into
for
that a
sure.
little bit?
Let's bring the God part in. So first off, the scripture says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. What does that mean? Well, how could you love your neighbor unless you love yourself? You can't. Okay. Yeah, you cannot love anything unless you want to love yourself because you can't give away anything you don't own. Fact number one. Fact number two, being selfish. Who else would I be? That's a pretty good one, right? Like, oh, awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna put myself first so I can take care of your ass. Okay, what's the problem? You know what I mean? Like, if I'm not being myself, why the hell would someone come to me for advice and wisdom if I can't even hold my own? You're not. That's the point, right? So, loving yourself is indeed the gateway to your success mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Because if you don't love yourself, what you're saying is, God created me and I'm a shitball and I'm not good enough, so I'm not going to love myself. And it's totally out of alignment because that's not the truth. The truth is, you are here, you made the cut. You're either going to do the work to love yourself or you're not. And if you don't, I promise you, you're going to have a lot of unnecessary stuff until you get it or until another experience. So, what does that mean? Well, what do we do? You ready? You ready for the most powerful word, second most powerful word in the English language?
Yes.
Oops. I give myself permission to forgive myself. Like, that's it. And I recommit to loving me. And then you move forward. But when you watch your head when you do this, I recommit to loving me. I give myself permission to say yes to me. Your head's going to say yes or no. If it says no, oh, awesome job. I got a no. All right. I give myself permission to say yes to me. Oh, I got a yes that time. Perfect. Now move forward. It's that, folks. It is way simpler than what we have been led to believe. It
Mm.
is way simpler than what we've been led to believe. And thriving doesn't mean that you're rolling around with millions. Thriving means that you're supplied every now for all of your nows. That's what thriving is. Is being able to be supplied no matter what is going on. So all your needs are taken care of. And that's thriving. You look around the world today, so many people are struggling, and I get it. There's a lot of things going on to make people struggle. But for those of you who are connected spiritually, you know it doesn't matter what happens. You're always tightened up, and Pops has always got it taken care of. So the more you can step into trust, and I don't like the word blind faith because faith is believing in something you don't know. We're in the age of Aquarius. I know what I feel and what I'm connected to. I don't have to read about it. I don't need to go to scriptures and read about some guy. Like, I am experiencing in communication with this person you're talking about. You got to figure that out for yourself. Okay. Reading about it in books is not going to work. It's going to take you going into the plummeting to the depths of your soul to figure out what's up and being open minded to finding whatever shows up. That's where your real freedom is going to be.
Home within, right? Our home within, not looking to be at home outside of us or in something else, right?
Sure. Well, you will if when you're at home within, it doesn't matter where your home is in the world, you're still going to feel at home because you're in your home. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you need to understand this too, is that a lot of people, when you make this decision, because it is making a decision, like if you don't consciously make the decision, I'm committed to thriving, you didn't make the decision. Like your default is, well, I'm going to deal with whatever shit I had going on because that's what the program is. Until I say, oh, well, I'm done with that. I give myself permission to say yes to me and I give myself permission to thrive. Okay, well, now I got a yes. Like now I have a new statement. Now I have a new directive that I'm in agreement with and congruent with. And what does that look like? Well, that's where you follow your higher levels of enthusiasm. Like, okay, what's the best thing for me to do right now? What are you most enthusiastic about doing? That's what you should do. When you operate in that level of trust and that level of freedom, you are supplied because you're following the 93% of you that you can't see. That's what's directing my experience. And what will direct yours if you're committed to doing the work. Because I'll tell you, the most important thing for me is God. Like, I don't care about anything. I really have a hard time being here because I really have lost all caring about anything other than spiritually being connected. That's the only thing that matters to me. None of this other stuff is going, none of it. So if you're getting hung up on the money thing, don't. If you're getting hung up on the job or the career thing, don't. If you're getting hung up on any of that shit, create something for yourself that you enjoy doing because the whole corporate thing and all the whole systems and structures of the world is all crumbling. It's all crumbling. People are realizing every day, like, wow, I've just done 30 or 40 years in corporate America and they don't give a shit about me and I've wasted all my life and time. Like, yeah, they don't care about you. That's the whole point. But you got to find that out for yourself. And then so many people are not willing to make that jump. I'm psychologically unemployable. There's no way in heaven and hell that I could have a boss. Not going to happen. I will live on the street before that happens, for sure. I don't care. I will figure it out. I always have. And that's the one thing, too, I'll tell you. Over the years of being an entrepreneur for 15 years, there's been a lot of changes, but thankfully, I've always had my hands involved in helping people solve problems. And I always have like 10 or 12 different ways to help people solve problems. So I've always had ways to help people and be of value. If you just be a person of value, your problems will be solved for you. But so many times people go into conversations, a situation with their hand out. That's not ever my motive and alternative. My outcome is just to go in and add value. And then whatever happens is going to happen. I'm just going to do my part because that's what I'm here to do. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Oh, so much good stuff, you guys. And I would invite anyone listening to what we've covered today to write it on a piece of paper, a note card, the background of your phone. Keep it somewhere. Actually, keep a whole note section. And whatever I'm feeling now, I can go to the note section and I can use one of the lines that he's given, right? So
Mm.
you can start to kind of collect what works for you, what you need in your life. And
Yeah.
so I'd invite you to take note of those, keep them easily accessible. And oh, all right.
There's your notes. That's literally, those are the things I study. That's my craft. That's my 2025 goals and outcomes. That's my body language cues that I rehearse. Just that's my skill sets that I rehearse. Those are my decrees in there. You need some of those things in your pocket. And also, too, like I have a chart in my average series that's this size that has the chart on it and it has all the sayings on it. Pop, 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 pop. You literally just put in your pocket.
Mm.
Uh-huh. I might have to pay myself after today.
So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, we've covered so much. It's been an amazing, amazing show. So I just wanted to give you some gratitude, Brian. Thank you so much for coming on, for giving to all of this pod. It's going to find whoever it's going to find. I did it
Yeah,
beforehand that all the right souls that are meant to come across
for
your
sure.
vibration, right? Your information that it shall find them. They will find it and allow their lives to be changed from it. So really excited
Yeah.
for those who are lucky enough to come across his information. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
use my text message number and I'll leave it with Michelle so she has it. But that way, when you get a hold of me, because here's the problem. I don't have my Facebook pages anymore because they've been hacked. TikTok has got like one strike left for me. So I really have had to change a lot of things because free speech ain't free. So using my text message number will get you to me where I can talk to you. But on my text message line, if when you type the word chart, this thing will pop up so you can have it. Just click on it. Once you type the word chart and you press send and it pulls up, then type the word entity and press send. Do that meditation. Do that meditation before you reach out to me and notice what you notice because here's what I'll tell you. I can tell, like Michelle, I think you were on earlier when I was working with this lady and she's probably in her 60s and I could tell there was something in her that was bang, bouncing, and she had an entity on her. Because when you're trying to do this stuff, and the commands aren't landing is because that entity knows that it's about to be a wrap for him. Because once we resurrect the vibration to a certain point, they're not going to be able to contend with that. So that's why they start monkey wrenching, monkey wrenching, monkey wrenching, monkey wrenching. But unless you have the ability to read it and to change it, it's not going to change. So that meditation is really priceless. It's free. You can get it on YouTube, but I have it. Just use my entity, use the code, the tag word entity, and it'll pop up for you. You can have it.
Will you, for those who are listening just audio, will you say the number? Do you have the number that you
Yeah,
can?
yeah. It's 512-648-5440. So 512-648-5440. Don't say, hey, Brian. I'm going to say hi to you anyway. Don't do that. Just comment the word chart so that way the information pulls up for you. And that way you have it. And I'll see you when you get back there. And then you just tell me, hey, I connected with you on Michelle's podcast. And then I'll help you from there. I have more shit to help you out with. And I have no idea what to talk about for sure. There's tons of stuff.
You
So
guys will not regret it. It will be life changing for you if you choose to move forward with that. So I highly recommend it. And it'll also open you up to all the other things that he has to offer that we don't have time to even go into today. So, like I said, this man has a lot of amazing information to give. And just grateful that he was able to come and share with us.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
any other last words you want to give before we depart?
I'll share one thing with you. This little thing, I've already said this a couple times today, but we're gonna say it again right quick because this is the number one tool that I've gotten the most amount of feedback from billionaires, millionaires, broke ass people. It doesn't matter, just people. I don't look at people for their status. I look at people because they're souls, and that's my job, right? So one of the biggest tweaks that you could use is I give myself permission to make this fun and easy. And I'll tell you the story real quick and then we'll roll out. So I was at the gym one morning at 5 a.m. and I did not want to be there. And I'm just doing the elliptical and I'm just bitching and complaining the whole time. Like I was hunched over, like, ugh. And the whole time I'm doing this, my nose is pouring. Like I've done an astronomical amount of drugs in my past. I've never had a nose run this in my life. My nose is pouring, both sides just koosh, koosh. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm wiping my nose, bitching and complaining the whole time. Finally, I'm like, shut up. So I shut up. I'm like, what is the deal? Fuck. And then I'm finally like, okay, as soon as I got my mind quiet, I had the idea to say, I give myself permission to make this fun and easy. I got the I out in my mind. I didn't say it. It was all internally. I got the I out. My body straightens up. My nose stopped running. Bam! Instantly. My state changed. I was like, oh, wow. The word becomes flesh in real time. So what I'm telling you works now. That's when it works. So if you're doing shit that's not working now, guess what? The shit you're doing ain't working. So if your life is not changing now, then guess what? You got the tools and the wisdom you have is not working because when you change your life, it happens now. It can never not happen now. Now is the only time we ever have. So even tomorrow, when it's now, what time is it going to be? Now. Can't get out of it. So when you know that and you adjust your linguistics accordingly, you can create accordingly because you're now. But if your language is off, like, oh, I'm feeling anger and I'm feeling angry, like that's everywhere. But if I say I feel anger, oh, that's now. Now I can change it. There's a lot of nuances, but I give myself permission to make this fun and easy. Is if you just did that and you use that 50 times a day verbally, you will transform your life. And I'll tell you this too, real quick. So I give you a perfect example. So listen to this. When you do this, what I'm showing you how to do is communicate with your God self. Your God self is already in you. It is you. The thing that's moving you around, in my experience, is your God self. Okay? What I'm showing you how to do is communicate it away so the God self in you communicates back with you. This is what you're doing. Okay? So when I say, I give myself permission, pause, let it land, to make this fun and easy. My head says yes, my body relaxes instantly. But and I'm a fast talker, so when I'm doing this stuff, I'll slow down. But listen, I give myself permission to make this fun and easy too fast. Unless you know what's up and you already got it down, that's one thing. But if you're just starting off like a newbie, slow down. I give myself permission, and you notice how my eyes automatically drop down to the left because that puts me in my body. So if you're having a hard time being in your body, look down to the left. I give myself permission, deep breath, to make this fun and easy. That will tell me instantly that I get in my body and instantly it'll land in my system. So it might be something like I give myself permission to feel my feelings and it's okay. That might be something you use 40 to 100 times too, because look, what I'm showing you how to do is not only talk to your God self, but we're talking to your 3-year-old. Your 3-year-old, folks, listen, we'll cut out on this. Last two things. In my opinion, the two most important relationships you will ever experience. Pops, God, number one, inner child, number two. Because if your inner child's upset and pissed off because you've been poo-pooing on it, guess what? It's like dragging a kid through your life that has the decision vetoing power of about 93% of your decisions in a shitty mood that is unhappy with you. Think about that shit. Because you want to find a way to wreck your life, make sure your inner child's pissed off and upset. And I can even ask myself, and my little self is little B, and I can look down there and imagine I either get a smile from my little baby self or I get a frown. If I get a frown, I'm like, all right, what's up? And then I'll have this idea. I'm like, all right, I give myself permission to forgive myself, and then I'll get a smile, and I'm like, all right, we're back in the game. It's going on in real time. I'll show you this stuff. This is just me experiencing things with myself that I noticed that work for me, but I find they work for everybody. It's just you having the awareness to even know that that's a thing and then having the courage to even test the thing out so you know whether the fruit's going to work for you or not. My experience has never not produced fruit for me or any of my clients or students or people who use it. So feel free to test it out for yourself so you have some tools for yourself. All right, good.
Yes. And last thing I'll say is I invite anyone listening to share this with someone who you think might need it.
Mm-hmm.
Share this with anyone you know has been through some shit, which is really all of us, but if somebody comes to your mind or your heart, please hit the share button and actually share it with them. You never know what someone is going through. You never know whose soul needs this. You never know who's on the verge of suicidal thoughts right now and might take execution on something,
Yeah, I've
right?
had those too, for sure. And I know what to do, but I've had those too, so I know it ain't just me.
And we're walking into a time now, you guys, where people are going to need this more than anything else in the world. They're going to need this more now than any time on the planet.
For sure.
So share this with those who you love. Even if you're like, hey, just tell me your opinion. Tell me what you might think of this. That's a great way to share it, right? Because this information isn't always, if you're new to this world, you might be like, what is this, right? So just say maybe you want to get someone's opinion, but have them try it out. Have them try it out.
Yeah, the cool part is you'll know whether I'm full of it in a second because when you use one of those commands that's your body needs, you're gonna know in 2 seconds whether it worked or not because it's gonna change. You're like, oh, okay. And that's what I like about it because it's not common sense because it's not common. But once you actually do it, you're like, oh, well, that seems pretty logical. It is. It's third grader stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
All right. Okay, last thing, and for real this time, how would you explain this to someone who thinks like more of the subconscious mind stuff is getting away from God? How would you explain to them this is cues to the body, or this is go? How would you explain it to someone who
I
thinks
don't know
it's
how somebody could get away from God like you are God. Like, where the fuck you gonna go? You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Scripture says you're God's. Go look it up yourself. Okay, it's not me making it up. Your Bible says that if that's what you're going off of. But I can tell you that God is within you. A lot of people like when I started praying, I don't like the word pray. When I started connecting with God, instead of out there, in here, my life in a prayer aspect changed instantly. Because we have been led to believe that God is out there somewhere and sitting on his cloud. I'm like, that is not the case, champ. In my experience, God is here, all of me, in me, around me, as me, showing up to me. Like you can't get away from it. It's everything. Where are you going to go? The faster the one can believe, like my subconscious is just the 93% of me that is running the show. God is using your body to communicate to you via non-language based communication. Okay. So I personally believe that God, like you are God. People like people like almost doo-doo on themselves. I'm like, you know what? First time I heard that, my coach was like, I am God. And I got triggered. And I'm like, it took me about 8 years before I could realize what he was saying because of all my programming, literally. Because that's the thing, folks. Like we have been hardcore programmed. Hard. Like I was in church 3 days a fucking week most of my life. I used to win Bible memory associations, and now I'm not against church. I just don't believe that the messages that they're sharing are actually the legit information that it was meant to be. And it's so coded that people who are very on the top levels of it read it for verbatim. And unless you have esoteric understanding and you have 3 layers of Hebrew code to read through the Bible, you're not even, the story is fucking waste of time. It's just telling you about stuff that's going on in your body. Like the story of Christ is you, Jesus, a person, Christ, a state of being. People are like, oh, well, Jesus is returning. Well, everybody's gonna see this man come down from a cloud. Everybody in the world. I'm like, that sounds pretty logical, right? It's not. The return of Christ is a state of consciousness that everybody gets when they do the work. The scripture says, no man knoweth the time or the hour of the day, because guess what? No one knows when you're gonna decide to do the fucking work. You understand what I'm saying? Like, no one can dictate that but you. The story of Jesus in the Bible is a story of the fluids coming down, the chrism fluid coming down from your system, going down the 7 churches into the lower center of which is Egypt and Sodom and Gomorrah, where it dies for 3 days and then it's resurrected back up the chain, right? There's a physiological process that goes on every 28 and a half days. I track it. It's right here on my wall. I have an app that tells me when my body as a Scorpio is secreting my fluids out of my kingdom down into your Bethlehem, which is your place of sustenance, which is your solar plexus where the seed is germinated. And then all this chemistry happens in the body. This is why, dude, this is very important. This is why sex is such a big deal because when guys are getting rid of stuff, that is the gas for our spirit to get back up to our kingdom. Most people are stuck down in their lower chakra center, fighting the other words for F and all those things. That's where people get stuck. And that's why it's propagated everywhere. Porn is free. Sex is everywhere. That is because if people stay stuck there, they can't be up here. You get it? This is why our world is going through the way that it is because people are changing. The consciousness is rising. And as it rises, all of the fighting going on is because the ones on lower vibrational experiences don't want to let go. This is why it's such a chore with food, with toxins, with we're getting fucking hammered on every corner you could think of. Like if you're here listening to this and you're thriving and you're in impeccable shape, great job. You're a fucking genius because everything in your life has been designed to destroy you, period. From top to bottom. All of it. Think about it. What has not been designed to destroy you? Food, water, relations, music, all of it is designed to keep you stuck. So when you really get that, that's when life begins because that's when it gets a little interesting. It's tough. Tough when you start knowing all that. You realize, like, man, I was so asleep. I honestly doing drugs and partying was a lot funner, to be honest with you, sometimes because I didn't give a shit and I had a great time. But now I got all this shit going on. I'm like, well, this sucks. Maybe I should, you know what I mean? It's just different, right? So just know these things are going on. I've had so many different ranges of my life. I'm like, I had a full life experience in 47 years, and I'm grateful to be alive. But to be honest with you, some of the best times I had were not sober. Okay. Now we got that on the table. I'm just being Brian with you. I don't know how to be frank. It's tough, right? And I don't care what people think because I don't give a shit. You're not paying my bills. I'm just telling you how I feel about it. If you don't have some fucking truth in your life and you're going to get all this stuff like, yo, look, this is not a candy walk. Okay. It's not for the faint of heart. You have got to be committed, committed to the kingdom of heaven, period. That's a wrap. That's the only outcome I have. Whatever it costs me to get there to recreate it, then that's what I'm going to pay. That's my lot in life, and that's what I'm choosing to do. You got to find out what works for you. But it's not going to be easy. It can be smooth. You can have grace. You can have ease. But listen, man, when you're going through the pits of hell in your life, you're going through the pits of hell in your life. Just keep going. Don't stop because they're there. People in your life, you're going to see like demons are people in your life, not horned creatures. They're fucking people in your life who don't want you to thrive, who say they're there but are backstabbing you and are doing shit because they don't want to do the work themselves. Like that's the work. And if you're around people like that, guess what? They're gonna come out harder when you start becoming more conscious. That's why you need people to hang around with that vote your victory, that see your greatness, that bring out who you be. Don't ever be around people. Don't go where you're tolerated. Go where you're appreciated and celebrated. And it ain't going to be around your friends you have currently, more than likely. You might have a few people, and I have like 3 or 4 friends, but other than that, I don't want a lot of them. I don't, people, humans suck, to be honest with you. Like, they're humans. We're humans. Don't ever trust humans more than you could trust a human because they're humans. It is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, so much good stuff. Let me not ask
Maybe
you
I
more
should,
questions, but
maybe I should start my own little fortune cookies or something, huh? Yeah.
oh, amazing, amazing. You guys send him some love, send him some gratitude, appreciation. Go text him. I'm gonna leave all his links if you're on the actual show. I'm gonna leave all his links below. If you're on the audio, you got his number. And I'm gonna quote him as we close. Your highest choice is everyone's highest choice. Okay, so follow that intuitive hit that you get. Like this was an intuitive hit. He literally came to my mind, and I was like, okay, so he's meant to give a word that is meant to be given out into the world through this channel. So I'm just following those, intuitive hits. So
Thanks for letting me share.
absolutely. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. See you on the next show. Bye.